Hello, everyone. I hope I'm live now. So, a very good evening to all. I'll wait for a few minutes so that everyone will join the session, right? So, I hope that you already have watched from my heading as well as the thumbnail that today I'll discuss about the exception handling in Python. So, with respect to the playlist, I hope you already aware that we are continuing our Python programming playlist where we started from a very scratch, where we have covered up all the basic topics like what is loop, why is it required, about the Python programming language, basic syntax, variables, everything I have covered up from a very scratch. So if there is someone who is for the very first time watching this video, or who is for the very first time join me live, uh, you can go and check it out on my channel. There is a separate playlist by the name of Complete Python Programming, the Ultimate Playlist, where all the recorded sessions are available, and you can go and check it out. Okay, so please make sure that whatever sessions are there, you try to watch those sessions in the sequential manner. So few days back, one student pinged me on the LinkedIn, and he said that he was watching directly the fourth fifth session, so he was facing some difficulty. So that's what I told to him, that please try to watch from a starting part, because that's the reason why we curate a playlist, or why I have curated a playlist on my channel. So if you will not go in a sequential fashion, you might face a difficulty, right? Because if you don't know the basics and you will move towards the advanced part, then obviously you will not able to understand the concept pretty well. So this is one request from my side, that please try to watch it in a sequential manner. And the best thing is that if you can join me live now, that will be an amazing experience, because what usually happens is that on the live session itself, students can, you guys can, ask me the doubts which is not feasible in the recorded sessions, right? If you are facing some difficulty at the after the recorded session pace, there is no one who can look your doubts. But if you are joining me live, that is an amazing experience, because on the spot I'm picking up your questions, on the spot I'm answering your questions, what other thing you want, right? So if I am at your place, I will definitely join live instead of watching it in a recorded pace. I will watch the recorded pace if I need some revision part, right? But definitely if you have an opportunity, and that's the main reason why I am going live in this playlist rather than making the recorded videos. Okay, so can you guys give me the confirmation, everyone whosoever is have joined me live? Am I properly visible, clearly audible or not? And then I'll start sharing my screen, and you guys let me know that whether my screen is also visible or not. And then maybe we can start our today's session without wasting any time. Who want to join live, I think they have already joined. uh, Still, if there is someone who is not joining, maybe they can watch the recorded videos, right? I have shared the WhatsApp channel link in the chat. I think everyone can see that. In the pinned message itself, I have, uh, attached it. So if there is someone still who have not joined my WhatsApp channel link, please do join that, because whenever I come live, I used to ping there also. Sometimes what happen is that we usually forget, right? There are so many things that we are doing, and it's completely fine that we forget that, okay, today we have the live. So I used to communicate there as well. And even whatever be the future things I'm going to plan, I used to announce there on the very first site. So you can join there also with me. Okay, okay. So Shiva has already given me the confirmation that all is clear audio and video. So now what I will do is I'll try to share my screen, and then you can give me the confirmation that is my screen is also visible or not. Okay, and if possible, again, if you want, and if you want to do everything with me, that would be an amazing experience again. You can just open the Google Colab with me, a very fresh file. I hope you all know that from the very starting, we are doing everything on the Google Colab. And the only reason is because I don't want to waste much time on the installment per se. Whenever you will go to the industry also, you will work on the cloud based platforms, not local system. So I think it's just a waste of time if we will spend more time on talking about how we can do the installation, and then there are errors which will come. I'll try to solve those errors. That's a complete waste of time. That's why I have already communicated everyone that this complete playlist which we have created is completely done on a Google Colab. So this is what I was referring to. If there is someone who is very new in this particular sessions, please try to go from the roadmap and then step by step go below, where everything is there, right, from the very scratch to the advanced level we will try to cover up. So it's until so far we are at intermediate level, so I'll try to go to the advanced level where we will cover up the machine learning specific packages like numpy, pandas, scikit-learn, matplotlib, all these mathematical intuitions in numpy and pandas, everything I'll try to cover up in this playlist. So please stay tuned. In this playlist I think you will be able to gain a lot of quality content if you will be able to retain the consistency, and I'm pretty sure you guys will do that, right? So shall we start now? I think it's a good time that we can start the today's agenda. And the today's agenda is the focus of exception handling. I hope you already have seen from the heading as well as the thumbnail. So if I'll ask in a layman terms, what is the meaning of exception? In the layman term, I can say that it's an error. It's an error. Nothing but it's a error. And specifically, we are dealing with the Python programming language in our sessions. So again, with respect to Python programming language, whatever error you're getting is something which we are calling it as an exception. But it's not a complete definition of exception. When I'm saying error, there can be multiple different types of errors. Maybe you can get in any code syntax error, right? Syntax error. What is the meaning of a syntax error? The simple meaning is that maybe there is an indentation mistake. Maybe you are writing a print statement and then you forget to close the bracket. I'll show you. Just give me a moment. So this syntax error is not an example of exception. The syntax error is not an exception. This is not an exception. For example, what is the meaning of syntax error or semantic error? For example, if I'll say print, let me connect this file first. And if I'll say just simple hello, okay? If I'll just run this, what will happen? What will happen? Anyone? Obviously, when we run this, we will get some error. Obviously, it will not able to print the data as hello. So that kind of error is something which we call as a syntax error. So if you will observe here, there is an incomplete input, right? So this is something which is not an exception as such. Now, let's talk about what is an exception then. The simple meaning of exception is that the kind of an error which will come at the time of execution of a program, which we call as runtime error. Runtime error. What is the meaning of a runtime error? The error which comes at the time of execution of a program. Error comes while executing the code. While executing the code. That kind of error is something that you can say is a runtime error. Means there is no as such mistake in the syntactical part. Syntax is completely fine. You have properly closed the braces. You have properly closed the quotation marks if we have any. But the problem is that there is somewhere logic is going wrong, and that's why the error is coming up. And that is something which we call as an exception in Python, or even in any other programming language as well. Exception is same, whether it be Python or Java or C++ or C. So is this clear? What is the meaning of exception? For example, I will give you a very simple layman example, and I think with the help of that example only you will be able to understand the today's session completely. Okay? And at the very end, I'll talk about one real-time application in data science projects in maximum number of times we used to face. Okay? So please stay tuned until the very end. Then only you will be able to understand the complete gist of today's session. Okay. So what I will do is I'll give you one simple example here with respect to the exception part. What I will do here is, let's say I'll say that I will be having a value of a which is equals to, let's say, 6. I will be having a value of b which is equals to 0. Let's say the value of c is equals to a divided by b, and I want to print the value of c. Now, what do you think? What will happen here? So, what do you think? What will happen here? Anyone who can answer me? So, if I just run this program, is this program is working fine? Do we get the output, or what do you think? We get some issue, some error will be there. Any guesses? Anyone who can let me know? According to you, if I'll divide the value of 6 or any number by 0 in Python programming language, specifically, so what will happen? What do you think? What will be the output of this particular program? Okay, so Shiva said that it will provide us zero division error. Let's see. I think he is completely correct. So what is happening is we are getting something called as a zero division error. Here, if you will observe, there is no as such mistake in terms of semantic. Syntax is already fine. As per the Python programming terms, syntax is properly fine. But the problem here is when we are talking about a divided by b, which is 6 divided by 0, in mathematical terms, the answer should be infinite. But in Python programming language, that is not defined. They internally, obviously, someone has written the code to print this kind of error, zero division error, division by zero. If in future we will talk about something called as a numpy library, a module completely, which is again a mathematical module which basically helps to do the mathematical operations like matrix multiplication and so many computations which are very complex in a very easy manner, in a very optimized manner. There the infinity term is defined logically, but in this particular scenario, if you will observe, this throws an exception. This is something which we call as an exception. Now, the problem is what usually happens when this kind of problem will occur. If, let's say, I want to write some other statement after this particular printing of C, let's say I want to write, maybe I'll write hello world. What do you think? Is the upcoming statement after printing of C will be printed or not? Any idea? Anyone who wants to say something? What do you think? According to you, please, guys, respond to me in the chat window. That's the amazing experience that we have in the live sessions. Otherwise, I can obviously record a video and upload it on the YouTube channel. But what I want is, I want an interaction from you all. And that's why I'm making it live. So I want everyone to respond as quickly as possible so that I also get to know that, okay, you guys are listening to me. You guys are able to understand whatever points I'm trying to convey here. Okay. So what I want genuinely from you is your response. That's it. So what I'm saying is, the question is, as of now, only the name which I can see on my screen is Shiva's response. But I think there are many people who are joining me live now. So I want everybody will respond. I think everyone is having a chat option in their screen. I didn't restrict it to everyone and only Shiva has the access. That's not the scenario in my case, right? So I want everyone to respond. Okay. So here, if you will observe, Shiva is again saying, let me display his name. So he's again saying that no, this particular statement will not be printed, which is again very true as he's saying. So why is that? So if you will observe, let me just again run this. What you're seeing here is logically at any point of time, whenever this exception will come, what usually happens is the upcoming lines or what upcoming statements which you have in a code will stop responding. It will not go there. It will not able to execute there. And that's the major issue in exceptions. Because let's say you have written a lot of code. For example, in data science, I hope that many of you are, either want to go in this domain or data specific domain or are experienced in this domain. So if there is any industry experienced person, he will be able to correlate it much better. And if there is fresher, please try to think over it, whatever point I'm saying here. Let's say you're doing any project, and in that project you want to access some file, because when I'm saying data science, so there we are dealing with the data, and the very first step is data pre-processing. Once we will be able to get the data, we need to do the EDA. For that, you need to first of all load that file, right? Let's say the file is not there, and after that you will be able to return the complete code of data pre-processing, where you will be able to get the clean data. What happens is complete code will stop, complete code will get obstructed, because you will be able to get the exception there again, right? That's a separate kind of exception that you will be able to get, and because of that you will not able to execute the below code also. So that's an obstruction in your path. Now the question is, we need to handle this kind of a scenario. We need to handle it in such a way that this kind of a issue will not come, where at least the below lines or the below code will work. If there is any exception will come. Now the question is how we can handle that. So the way to handle this kind of a scenario is via try and accept block. So in other programming languages we have try and catch block, but in Python programming language specifically we will be having try and except block. So we will try to see how we can handle this problem via the try and except block. Now I think it is uh, fine, Farhina. Mihir is saying pranam Priya ma'am, pranam Mahir. Okay, I hope it is clear to everyone. So what is the major issue in exception? I hope this part is clear to everyone. Now let's move ahead to understand that how we can resolve that issue. I hope so far so good, everyone. Can we move ahead now to handle this kind of a scenario, that how basically we will be able to handle this scenario? So what I will do is I'll try to do one thing. I'll just copy this code. I'll try to paste it over the second block. And what I will do here is I'll say try. Now you have to understand what is happening here. Accept. And then you are saying pass as of now. Okay? And what I will do is I'll take the input from the user. So int type input I am taking from the user. I hope you all know how we can take the input from the user. Now I want to show you something again. See, first important thing is what should be there inside this try block. It's kind of a if else. At any point of time, in any data science project or in whatever coding part, development part you are doing, you have some doubt. You have some doubt that this block of code can cause some exception. So what we usually do is we will try to put that block into this try block. I hope this part is clear. So what I am saying is, whichsoever is a confusing part, like for which you know that an exception can occur or runtime error can occur, at that point of time you will put all that logic inside the try block. And at any point of time, if the issue will come, you will say that I just run this except part, just run this. Now what we can run in this part I'll show you, but as of now I have written a pass keyword, means just pass this particular scenario, just ignore that and print this value. So if I just run this now, please try to see this very carefully. What will happen? Let's say as of now I am writing the value of a as 6. Okay, I am writing the value of b as 1. So what will happen if you will observe this? I'm getting the value of the C, and after that, this print statement will run. I hope everyone will be able to clearly understand this part. Because my denominator is 1, so it will automatically divide the value of 6 by 1, and it will give me the answer as 6.0 because I have printed the statement. After that, once this particular complete block will be run, what I have mentioned, print the hello world, and this is what it is printed. I hope everyone can see this. Now, again, I'll run this code block. What I will do now is, I'll say A is 6 again, B is 0. Now what will happen? Now if you will observe, try block will give me the exception. So let's see what will happen. Can you see that? Now the error is not coming up. Now the above situation is not coming up, where it fails to even print the upcoming code part, which is after print C. Why? Because I have handled that very gracefully. I have said that if the block is executed properly, print it. Otherwise, just ignore that part and print the statement. Is this part is clear to everyone? Until so far, is this clear? Now you can ask me one question that, okay, Priya, you have just ignored it just as of now. But when I'm trying to create a complete pipeline, and when I'm trying to handle this try and except block, how will I get to know that an error is coming up and I have to handle that? And that question is very important to understand. So this is not a good practice via which I have written down this pass. But as of now, just as a beginner, to just explain to you that how we can handle this case, I have tried to explain to you the concept. So for every try block, this is very much important for you to have an except block. Otherwise, it will show you the error. If you will just write only the try block, it will show you the error. This is very much important to understand. So now the question is that as of now, I didn't get to know with this output that is there any exception or not, because I have just ignored that. I have not printed that, but I want to print that. So what will happen? Like how we can print that at this point of time, we got some issue and we have to manage that issue. So how we can do that? What I will do is I'll just again copy this code. We'll paste it here. And what I will do, I'll say accept exception as E. Now you can ask me one question. What is this exception? If you will go and check it out, the documentation of this, let me show you the documentation as well. And I'll share this link of documentation, even if you will go and check it out. I always say, at any point of time, okay, you are learning from any of the mentor. It's not only about me, it's about anyone. Always try to go after learning from any of the mentor to the documentation also, and try to study, because the quality content which you will get from this standard source is somewhat very amazing. So always, if you will observe here, syntax error is something which I have talked about in the very starting of the session. Then we have exceptions, and this is what I have explained to you, that errors detected during execution are called exceptions and are not unconditionally fatal. Now here, if you will observe, this exceptions in Python is a superclass. So what is the meaning of a superclass? I have not covered up until so far oops concept. We will cover up in the upcoming session. So, but as of now, I'll just try to explain to you in a layman term that it's kind of a, you can say, I'm saying it's a superclass, like it's a, you can say, father or grandfather of a complete family. Now, what will happen inside that? There are subclasses that we have. It means that there are different type of exceptions we have. For example, you will observe we have value error exception. You will observe, and I think you must have seen those exceptions in your development part also. Just now we have seen zero division error, right? And once you will start writing the codes, you will observe that at what point of time you will get what kind of a error. Similarly, you will get index error. Have you guys seen these kind of errors in your daily day-to-day things? So there are so many exceptions that we have. Now what I can do in this code is, I'll say print except exception as E. Exception is a super class. I have created an alias of that alias. I can write my name as well. Now what I will do, I'll print this E. So whatever be the kind of a exception I'm getting, I'll print that. So with this, what will happen? First thing is that the above problem was resolved, where I'm getting this kind of a issue. I'll just get the printing statement of error. Second thing is, I will be able to execute the upcoming lines of code after this particular block, so that my complete cycle will not get broken up. So let's try to run this again. So now what will happen is, I'll try to put A as 6 again, B as 0. Now what is happening? It is giving me the kind of a error, which is division by 0 error, because this is a kind of a exception that we are having. And then what is happening is, I'm getting the output also as hello world. So now you can observe that how beautifully we will be able to manage the problem as well, and we will be able to manage the obstruction which was happening in the earlier case, right? Let's say if I'll get some another kind of error. For example, if I'll say, let's again run this code. Now see, A is a kind of a int type input. But let's say here I will mention my name, Priya. What will happen? Let's see. See, what is happening? Invalid literal for int with base 10. Because here we are expecting, or our code is expecting a input from a user as integer type. But what I have mentioned is a Priya, which is a string type. Again, it is giving me that kind of a issue. So basically what is happening here is, the problem is, what is happening is, we will be able to get the kind of a exception also, and then we will be able to stop that problem of not executing the upcoming code after the exception very, very gracefully. Yes or no? Is this part is clear to everyone? Can I move ahead? Can I get some confirmation? Now let's say you will say that, okay, we will talk about this problem in a later part. Maybe let's say we can take one more example, so that you will be able to understand much better way. I'll try to mention a one try block, and inside that, let's say I will be having a list of numbers, let's say 10, 20, 40, 70, 90. And let's say I want to access the element of L of 10. Okay, what will happen? I know this is an issue. So what I will do, accept exception as E, and here again I'll print it. Now what happened is, if you will observe here, anyone who can let me know what kind of error, if I'll not apply or try except block here, what kind of issue we will be able to get, or what kind of exception we will be able to get? Anyone who is aware about the fact? Because if you will observe, we have talked about data structures in Python, right, where we have talked in very detail. If you will go and check it out, mastering Python data structures with real life examples, and that I have talked about lists, dictionaries, tuples, sets. So what I have done here is, I have taken a list where I have taken a set of numbers, but what I'm doing here is, I am accessing the 10th index element, which is, if you will observe, is not available in the list. Again, it's an exception, and it is something which is a index out of range exception. If you will see, if I run this, what is happening? You're getting a list index out of range. So if you will just pass it just like the way I have done in the very first part, you will not able to get the point that where you're going wrong. But if you will do like this, your problem of stopping that code at that point of time will get resolved, and you will be also able to get an idea that what kind of exception it is. Isn't it amazing, right? Similarly, let's say I'll try to create one dictionary here. Let's say what I will do. So I'm trying to present you few use cases so that you will be able to understand this exception part, and then we will move ahead in this session. Okay. Let's say I will be having one dictionary of records, and let's say it contains the name, and the name of the person is Priya. Okay. After that, I will be having phone number of that person. Phone number is, let's say, 87690 something 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 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 10. I think that's fine. Then let's say I will be having an email ID of that particular person, and let's say the email ID is somewhere priya@gmail.com. Make sense? So this is what we have. Okay. Now I want to access records of age. I want to access the age of a Priya. Okay? And in the accept block, accept exception as E, I want to print E. So what will happen here? What will happen according to you all? Anyone who can let me know? Is this works fine, or is there any issue in this code? Anyone who can let me know? What is the issue? If you will observe here in this particular code block, we have created a dictionary. What is a dictionary? I hope everyone knows. It's a key value pair where key is name, value is Priya, key is phone number, value is this number, key is email ID, value is this. But here, if you will observe, amazing again. Here, if you will observe, what is the problem? We are trying to access a different key which is not available in the records. Is that an issue? Yes. So I think I have not mentioned that, but you must have seen this kind of error also very frequently, called as key error. Again, an exception. So if I just try to run this code, you will be able to see that. Okay, so it is trying to print this. Basically, it's a key error. So if you want to print any specific error, what you can do now, let me try to now explain to you. Let's say I want to print a specific kind of errors. So it's a key error. So here it is giving me the exact course name. But let's say what I want to do, I have seen the separate kind of errors that we have, or the exceptions that we have. Value error, key error, index out of bound error. Other error we have seen just now? Zero division error. Now let's say you want to check it out, or you want to specify what kind of exact error it is. How we can do that? As of now, in every code part, what I have done is I have tried to make it a simplified form, taking a super class. but I want to be specific. Then what will I do? Just you have to do, for example, you know that in this particular code block, zero division error can come. So you can take exactly that particular exception to handle zero division error if you want. Okay, as Z, then you can print Z. If let's say you are saying that maybe a scenario can come where you don't have a zero division error, but you have maybe a value error. So again, you can be specific in that scenario. You can take an alias of that and you can print again V. Similarly, if you feel that in that code block there is another kind of exception which can occur, you can take that particular value and accordingly you can print that. For example, if I'll just again run this, and if I'll just again fill this value 6 and 0, what is happening? It will go to this particular block because it's a zero division error and then print the value of a Z. So what I'm saying is there are two ways to handle the exception. One way is very easy. If you're not aware about the subclasses of exception, you can take a superclass and print the value. Otherwise, second way is if let's say you are aware that this code block will try to execute or will try to print this kind of exception only. That is the only possibility that we have. So what you can do, instead of writing the complete superclass, you can write a specific error, specific exception, make an alias of that and print that. I hope this part is clear to everyone. Shall we move ahead now to the next important block that we have, which is a else block, Shall we move ahead now, everyone? So what we can do here is, maybe I'll copy this code. And I'll, as of now, taking a superclass only. Exception, because that is easy to handle. We don't need to think about all the use cases. Now, there is something that you will again observe in the try and exit block is something that we have is else block. Now, the question is at what point of time this else block will be executed? Try to understand. This else block will be executed only at the point of a time when your try block will be executed completely or successfully. Now, this is another way to check it out, that whether your code is which you have written inside the try block is executed successfully or not. Okay? So what I will write is it will execute only when your try block will execute successfully. Now, just let me try to show you what I'm trying to convey here. Let's say I'm saying 6, then I'm saying 1. So else block have executed because you can see the print statement. Can you see that? Whatever be the statement I have mentioned, it is being written here. Can you see that, everyone? Now what I will do, I'll run it again. And now intentionally I'll write 0 here. Now, at the point of a time when I write 0, it will throw an exception, will go inside this except block. And at any point of time when it will go inside the except block, try block, it means it is not executed successfully. So it will go inside this else statement, will not print this. So what will happen here? So let's try to enter this. Now you will see your statement of else part is not printed. Why is that so? Because your try block is not executed successfully. So always remember, at any point of time, if you want to see that whether your try block is successfully run or not, you can write the else block and it will run only when your try block will be executed. Now, what is the real-time application of this particular use case? For example, you want to do any project, let's say again, data pipeline you are creating, and you can write the file access part inside this try block. And you can say that at any point of time, once I will be able to access the file, means once I will be able to completely run this try block, then you can write in the else part that what you have to do inside that file. What is the cleansing process? What is the filtration process you want to do? I hope it makes sense. Those at least who are belonging to a data science background, I think they will be able to understand what I'm trying to convey here. Because you only know, you can understand that if let's suppose if we will not able to get the file loaded successfully in our case, how will we able to do the below steps of cleansing the files that we have, maybe csv, maybe txt, any of the format of the file. So what I'm saying is, in a real time, what we usually do is the getting or accessing of a file from the open source, maybe whatever, wherever it is available, maybe on the local system only if it is available, or if you're accessing from any of the databases, you can write that block inside the try. At any point of time, if the accessing of a file is executed properly, what will happen? You can write the upcoming steps in the else block. So once that part will be done, then only that statement will be done inside the else block. That is the real time application of writing the else block. Is this part is clear to everyone? Now there is another important part that we have, which is the last block in this exception handling, which is something that we have is, I hope you must have heard of, uh, something that we have is finally. Now what is this? Anyone? What is this? This, as the name itself suggests, finally means this particular block will always execute. Doesn't matter whether your try block will be executed properly or not, this finally block will always execute. So it will, or you can say, this block will execute always. This block will execute only when your try block will execute successfully. This will execute always. Doesn't matter your try block is executing properly or not. So if I just again run this and will show you the demonstration. Let's say I will be having 6. I will be having 1. So now what will happen? Because the try block is completely running fine, so it will go inside the else block. Afterwards, it will go inside the finally block as well. Now, if I just again change the numbers from 6.1 to 6.0, you know that try block will not able to execute now properly and will go inside that except block, where the exception will occur as a zero division error. So else statement will not run, but finally will run. So if I just enter this, you will be able to observe, we will be able to get the output as division by 0. It's a kind of exceptional error. And after that, you will be able to observe, even though my try block is not executed properly, I will be able to get this particular block to be printed. So now in the real time application, at what point of time you will, or what statements you will write in this finally block? Now see, in a code part, you know that at the very end, I want these statements to be run, even though the try block accessing part is done or not. So the statements which you want must to be run after every iteration, or maybe after looking into that whether your code is running at the very end or not, you can write all those statements in the final block. But only those statements which you want will be executed or will be run only after running a successful operation in the try block, that statements only you will write inside the else block. So in this way, in the complete exception part of exception handling in Python, we have majorly 4 blocks. Try, where we used to write the code block or code file which you know that can have ambiguity, means it can run properly or it can throw the exception as well in uh, you know unpredictable situations, right? Sometimes there can be streamlined data which you are accessing. Maybe you will not able to access it, maybe data is not there, maybe data is not available. So at that point of time, obviously the exception will occur. So that kind of statements, that kind of situations where you know that some unpredictable things can happen, all those statements will run inside the try block. Except will throw an exception, so you can print that. Else will be the block where you know that after successful execution of the try block, these many statements you want to run to get the complete process done. After that, finally is something where you know that doesn't matter whether the above code is running successfully or not, I want to run the finally statements all over inside the code. So that statements you will write inside this print part. Is this part is clear to everyone? Can I get some confirmation from everyone? Yes or no? So for example, I'll give you now one simple demonstration. For example, let's say I'll try to create maybe one file here. uh, I'll try to add one file. Let's say the file name is uh, demo.txt. Okay. Now what I will do here is I'll try to read this file. This is the path of the file. So what I can do is I can say file underscore path, and what I will do here is I'll just copy this path. Okay. Now what I will do is I'll try to open this file. So what I can do is maybe I can do these things in the try block. This is the file path that I have. Now what I can say, I have equals to open. This is how basically we can open any file. So you can write the path of the file, and after that what you can do is you can say f.read. Now if that file is not available as of now, this is available, just now I have created this. If let's say that file is not available, how you can do that? So this is how basically we used to do in data science projects per se. And I hope that many people who are in this domain have done this kind of a scenario things, right? We can say that printing. Now here if you will observe, because it is not an issue, it has read the data. Now you can ask from me, it is not writing anything because there is nothing available inside my file. That's why nothing is coming up as an output. But if you will observe, the error is also not coming up because we have a file. Let's say now if I'll just change the file name to demo1.txt. Now see what will happen. Can you see? Error is coming up. No such file or directory. This is again kind of an exception. So what is happening is, because the file is not available, it will go inside the except block, will throw an exception, will print it, and the error is no such file or directory by the name of content/demo1.txt. So this is the kind of a situation which we will have to handle. And then maybe you can write the else statement where you can see, you can write it down. You can write it down that whatever be the, as of now I'm printing the statements, so EDA stuffs you can do here. So obviously once you will be able to access the file, then only you can do the EDA stuffs. If the file is not available, if the file is not there from whatever resource you are getting up, obviously else part will not make sense. So at that point of time, that particular code block will not run. So if you will observe here, if I run it again, and if I just change the path to again this, so what will happen? Because it will be able to see the file name, and obviously there will be something inside that. It may be txt, it may be csv. So EDA stuff will happen, meaning the statements which you will write in the EDA part inside the else statement will run, which makes sense as well, right? That's the utility of the complete else block inside the exception handling part. So I have tried to explain you everything with respect to the data science projects per se, specifically in the data pre-processing phase. So this kind of things are really important to understand, because when you will write the code, or when you will develop the code base in the data science project per se, where we will be having a complete life cycle from fetching the data to the model deployment part, you will observe that when we are in the EDA phase, first of all we need to access the file, and sometimes in data ingestion part we are accessing from any of the other resources. Maximum number of times you will observe that maybe your data file is available in S3 bucket, maybe your data file is available maybe in the MongoDB database, or maybe in the MySQL, anywhere, right? Maybe in the local environment. For example, just now I have just have this demo to txt, right? So it might be the case you will be able to access that. At that point of time you have to do the EDA part. Whatsoever steps are there, I have already created a detailed video for the same in the machine learning playlist. I think you can check it out. So those stuffs you can write in the else part. Otherwise it will show you the error, which means that you will be able to get an idea that my file is not available. First of all, I have to think over it for the getting the file from the proper resource. So that's how the complete steps of exception handling will work. If you will observe, these things are not necessary, meaning you will be able to do the EDA without using a try except block as well. But these things will make you a better developer, because now you know that at what point of time what kind of error is coming up and why is that so. So these things are very, very important to understand as a programming perspective. And in Python, why I'm talking about, because I know that when you are looking into any of the data science projects, we are dealing with a Python programming language only there. So you will see that many projects are in Python only with respect to the data science per se. So these small things will make a lot of difference. If, let's say, you are not aware about these small things and the utility of that in real time applications. For example, I can clearly explain you try. I can start my session by explaining to you that what is try, what is accept, what is else, what is finally, and I can complete the session within 15 minutes as well. Or I can create a video and done that video in the 15 minutes by showing you the practical real life example as well. But try to explain to you everything with respect to how you can do these things, or how you can utilize this knowledge in your real time applications also, so that whatever you are studying here in these sessions, you will be able to do the stuffs in your industry, in your projects, so that you will be able to write your codes in a very beautiful manner. And this is the you can say difference between a good developer and a bad developer. Bad developer will never write these kind of things in their code because they're not aware about this, or if they're aware they don't have a good practice. But if you're a good developer, you should be aware about these things. Even to write a small codes, you should have a good habit of writing this exception handling things, because that will all make a difference. Everyone knows basic stuff. Everyone knows how we can import the scikit-learn library. Everyone knows how we can import the packages. What you have to think over it is how you can beautify your code, how you can write your code in a way that if, let's say, in future you resign from a company, and some other person is coming up and checking your code, he or she will not face any trouble. You have written a code in a so much beautiful way. So this is something which you have to understand, and to beautify those things, you have to understand these stuff which I'm trying to teach you here. So I hope this part is clear to everyone, right? What should we do if there are multiple errors in the program? Jayesh is asking this question. See, Jayesh, if there are multiple errors, so what you can do is, it's not like that. As of now, I have just talked about try, accept, else, and finally. But let's say in this try block also, you have written some code for which further you have some error. So you can apply a nested try exit block. Means inside this also, you can write something like some statements here. Okay, some statements here, you can write it down. And further again, you have a exit block for this. Again, you have some statements. So basically, you can have a nested try and exit block for every particular thing. Whatever you are doing in this particular code part, you can have a nested try exit block. Just like if we have nested for loops, like nested if else conditions. Similarly, here also at every point of time. But the important point here to understand is that at any point of time, if you will feel like that for this block, error can come. Maybe you're writing something inside the try, and in the try itself, you can see that further to execute that, maybe further an error can come. You can write further with respect to that try and exit block. So with respect to every error, you have to deal with it specifically with applying the try and exit block. I hope it makes sense, Jayesh. Okay. Okay. Any other doubt anyone is having? I hope this part is clear to everyone. Those who have missed this today's session, again, I am trying to explain to you that you can watch all the sessions in this particular playlist. Okay, so if you will check it out on my channel, there is a complete playlist, Python Programming the Ultimate Playlist. If you will go there, you will be having all the videos in a sequential manner. Please do try to share this playlist with everyone. Apart from this, very recently, I think you must have seen another playlist, Conversation with Experts, where we have already two episodes to be done. You can check it out. Again, a very amazing podcast, and I hope that you have also enjoyed listening that and have gained a lot of insights from these episodes as well. Very soon a new episode will about to come, but please do share these things with each and everyone. This really helps me to reach to wider audience. If you have any doubt, anything which you want to ask, please do ask. Otherwise, today's session we can wrap up. In the upcoming session, I'll talk about further things in Python programming playlist. I hope that now our playlist is being matured day by day. We have already covered up the basic stuffs in this complete playlist. Now we are moving towards the intermediate stuffs, and very soon you will observe that we are trying to catch up the advanced concepts, where we will talk about the actual packages in very detail, like NumPy, Pandas. I don't think that you will be able to get this much detailed explanation anywhere. We'll try to take again 1 hour of live sessions. I'll try to take that, and we'll try to explain to you internally how the mathematical things are working on. with respect to the documentation also, I'll try to explain to you. Please make sure that after the session you will see this documentation where everything is written it in a very nice way. Whatever things I have talked about, I have referred this documentation only to prepare my content, right? Even whatever sessions I usually take, I refer the documentation to prepare the content, like what I supposed to teach, how I supposed to teach you all, so that you will be able to understand my things in a layman term. And even the person who is not from a non programming background will also able to understand. That's the real challenge for me. I don't want to explain to someone who is already good in the programming language. I also have to explain to someone who is not from a programming background, and that's where a mentor's role came into picture. So if I can explain to someone who is not from non-programming background, it means my purpose is done for this session. And if you still have any sort of doubts, I always say that I'm very much open to take your concerns, take your doubts. You can write it in the comment section, even in the podcast or episodes also, which I am taking or which I will take in the future as well. If you think that this is a kind of a question which is left out and which is very important to ask from that guest, so you can just mention in the comment section. Maybe I'll request to them that please do share their experience with respect to that question as well if we have missed that. But please make sure that you will be engaged in this, then only you will be able to get the proper benefit out of this. Okay. Okay, then I think there is no as such question with respect to today's session. Thank you so much, everyone. um there is very interesting question Nikhil has asked. We can use else clause with exception handling. Try result 100 by 2 except 0 division error. Printf this. Else print. Yeah, that is completely again a fine use case which you have said here. Very clear. Thanks. Thank you so much, Farhina. You never disappoint. I always understand your teaching. Thank you so much, Nikhil. That is the ultimate purpose to come here, because I know the importance of time. And if I am spending my time and you guys are spending your time, there should be something which is very much fruitful for everyone. So that's the, in every video, that's the ultimate objective, right? For me from the starting of the sessions. So with this, let's end today's session. I'll see you all very soon in the upcoming session, where now we will talk about further interesting topics in Python programming playlist. Bye bye everyone, see ya, and thank you so much for joining in this live session. I hope that you have gained a lot of insightful content from this. Bye bye and see ya.